Hello, 11th graders. The following is your first biweekly worksheet of semester 4 in the theme of teenagers and teenagers' health. So let's begin. Read the selection below about the detrimental, meaning destructive, effects of early school start times on U.S. teens' health, and then answer the questions that follow. So obviously this worksheet, the selection is going to talk about how early school starting time, as is common in all countries over the world, is not a good idea. So let's begin. Title: Early school start times have detrimental effects on U.S. teens' health. Nearly half of American teenagers report sleep difficulties that affect their daily functioning, according to findings published on the Journal of Adolescence. Exhaustion from lack of sleep can lead to negative health outcomes, including depression, obesity, and accidental injury. Compounding these difficulties is a natural shift that occurs in adolescent circadian rhythms, which is highlighted by later sleep and wake times. Additionally, teenagers experience a slowing of the homeostatic drive to sleep. A policy statement issued by the American Academy of Pediatrics also cited the modern teenagers' competing interests, including homework, extracurricular activities, after-school jobs, and technology use that contribute to their lack of sleep on weekdays, requiring catch-up sleep time on weekends. So from the first two paragraphs, we notice that teenagers are not getting enough sleep, and this is having negative effects on their health, leading to things like exhaustion, depression, obesity, accidental injury, obviously because they're not concentrating well. Moving on to the next paragraphs. If teenagers need between a minimum of 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night, and the appropriate bedtime for this age group is 11 p.m., how appropriate are current school start times? Nathaniel F. Watson, MD, professor of neurology at the University of Washington School of Medicine and co-director of the University of Washington Sleep Center, believes that the standard early start time for schools may set adolescents up for sleep problems like insomnia. Insomnia means lack of sleep. You're not able to go to sleep. Paragraph 4. Teenagers have a phase delay in their circadian rhythm that makes it very difficult for them to fall asleep before 11 p.m. So a mother or a father cannot just ask their teenage son or daughter to go to sleep at 8 or at 9 or even at 10, okay? Because this is a natural clock in them at this age. They cannot physically go to sleep generally before this time. Watson told Infectious Diseases in Children, if bell times are between 7 and 8 p.m., this is the general trend, of course, the math does not add up and they are not going to get the sleep they need. Paragraph 5. The AAP policy statement recommended an appropriate wake time of 8 a.m. That means they wake up at 8, not start school at 8. For those in middle and high school, this prompted both the AAP and the American Academy of Sleep Medicine to endorse on an 8:30 a.m. or later start time for schools in the United States. The AASM said in their own policy statements that following the new recommendations for sleep duration can improve attention, behavior, learning, memory, emotional regulation, overall quality of life, and physical and mental health outcomes. As a teacher, I do see this in several of my teenage students. Several of them are very sleepy, especially early in the morning, in the first hours, and sometimes later in the day when they really get tired because they haven't had the sleep they need. Paragraph 6. Study results published in Accident Analysis and Prevention demonstrated that a 75-minute delay in school start time from 7:30 to 8:40 a.m. decreased the number of adolescents involved in motor vehicle crashes by 14%. Okay, notice this very interesting statistic. Why does the author put those statistics? To gain credibility, okay, to make you agree with his or her point of view. Judith A. Owens, MD, MD means medical doctor, MPH, director of sleep medicine at Boston Children's Hospital, said that teenagers' sleep deprivation means lack of, okay, affects the rate of accidental injury and suicide, two of the leading causes of mortality in this population. Here, this population, obviously, we're referring to teenagers. So all of this because of lack of sleep. So according to the author, of course, we need to delay the school start time. Okay? Now, let's move on to the first part of our questions. A is generally comprehension questions related to the text. Answer each of the following questions in 1 to 3 complete sentences using your own words. What are the mental and health effects of insufficient, not enough sleep among teens? Answer: insufficient sleep among teens can result in depression, obesity, accidental injury, and insomnia, lack of sleep. Question number 2, based on paragraph 2, why aren't teens getting enough sleep? Okay, as we read before in the paragraph, teens aren't getting enough sleep because they have interests such as homework. They have to do their homework, of course, which at this stage, of course, you as 11th graders need hours sometimes to complete your homework. And also you need to do extracurricular activities. Some of you have after-school jobs. This is something very common in the West also. And technology use that occupy a big part of their time. Who among the teenagers, who among the students is not going online for hours? This also takes some of their sleep time. And then we expect them to be alert and awake by 7:30 a.m. It's not working. Question number 3, how will delaying school start times be helpful for adolescents? Okay, it can improve attention, behavior, learning, memory, emotional regulation, overall quality of life, and physical and mental health outcomes. It can also decrease the number of adolescents involved in motor vehicle crashes. Okay, we know in the West, for example, in the US, driving age is 16. So generally, as an 11th grader, if you have a car, if you own a car, you can drive it to school, okay? So they noticed that there's a decrease in the amount of vehicle accidents when sleep was more, when bells were delayed, okay? Number 4, how would you, as teens, persuade your government to delay school start times? Okay, we'll discuss this later in our next live session using Zoom. How would you persuade your school? I would accept any answer that is logical, okay, something built on logical reasoning. What would you do? Would you write a letter to the Minister of Education through your school? Would you make a petition with some of your friends? Okay, get as many as 100 signatures and send it from different schools. You can even get thousands of signatures. These are plausible and logical ways to persuade the government and the Ministry of Education maybe. And also the Ministry of Health can be involved here, because what's involved in this issue is teenagers and their health. Okay? Moving on, how can you best describe the writer's tone in paragraph 4? Justify your answer. Where do we get the writer's tone from? Of course, from his or her choice of words. Let's see. I displayed paragraph 5 for you here. The AAP policy statement recommended, okay, be careful with the choice of words, an appropriate wake time of 8 a.m. Recommended. Okay, for those in middle school. This prompted both AAP and the American Academy of Sleep Medicine to endorse and 8:30 a.m. or later start time for schools in the United States, the AASM said in their own policy statement that following the new recommendations for sleep duration can improve attention, behavior, etc., and quality of life. So how does the author sound here? What is his or her tone? After looking at the choice of words, the writer's tone is reflective. You can also say the writer's tone is let's say, recommending or advising and reflective. The writer contemplates teens' changing biology and their need to get more sleeping hours. Okay? Or you can say the writer's tone is recommending because they talked about how the different associations involving teenagers recommended more sleep time for teenagers. Equally correct. Okay. Part B now, the organizational skills questions. How does the writer achieve credibility, accuracy, and objectivity? They all mean the same, by the way. How do we achieve those? How does the writer achieve those? Remember, again and again in every lesson we repeat them. The writer uses 3 types of evidence to achieve credibility, accuracy, and objectivity. Make sure you rewrite those words. First, he uses studies. And you need to tell me an example of a study he used. Nearly half of American teenagers report sleep difficulties that affect their normal daily functioning according to findings published in the Journal of Adolescence. He also uses real names: American Academy of Pediatrics, American Academy of Sleep Medicine, United States. And finally, he uses quotes by experts. Okay? We can also say statement of authority or witness reports, depending on what you have in your text. They all add credibility to the text. Quotes by experts: if school bell times are between 7 and 8 a.m., the math does not add up and they are not going to get the sleep they need. This is a quote by an expert. Okay? So, studies, real names, quotes by experts. And you give an example for each, please. Sometimes I might even give you a chart to fill in for credibility. What is the writer's purpose in writing this selection? The writer's purpose is obviously to persuade authorities to charge, to delay, the writer's purpose is to persuade authorities in charge to delay start time. This is what the whole selection was talking about. Start times, and he gave reasons because it will have benefits on teenagers, school children's health and academic performance. You might even add, the author gave real life examples or real names, results of studies and experts' opinions to persuade the reader, okay, that it is important, or to persuade authorities in charge that it is important to delay school start time for the teenagers' well-being. Okay, we'll add that here. Moving on, what 3 types of audience might be interested in reading this selection? Answers may vary, of course. I gave you a suggested answer. The 3 types of audience might be neurologists. You need to tell me why. This is specific. I didn't say doctors. I said neurologist. To spread awareness about health problems among teens due to insufficient sleep, the government and school administrators, okay, of respective countries if you want, to delay school start times, okay, because those are the people who will decide. The government and the administrators. What's their interest? They're the ones who will decide whether or not to delay the school start times. Moving on, the following is a poor version of a 1-sentence summary. This is not how it should, this is how it shouldn't be, okay? Write me a good summary of paragraph 3. After having read paragraph 3, I want 1 sentence. Remember, the citation in paragraph 3 of the text entitled Early School Start Times have detrimental effects on U.S. teens' health, the author explains that early school start times lead to insomnia among teens. Full stop. One sentence. Okay? Remember, a sentence ends with an end mark, meaning a full stop or an exclamation or a question mark. Other than that, it's not a sentence, it's a line. A line is not a sentence. Those are 3 lines, but they are only 1 sentence. Okay? Extracts. The reading selection has 6 paragraphs, 1 to 6. Each of the following extracts, A and B, is the correct part that completes 1 paragraph in the selection. Read the extracts A and B carefully and then choose from paragraphs 1 to 6 the one that correctly fits with each extract. After having, while you're reading, I told you time and time again, and I will tell it to you again, while you are reading a text in a quiz or in a test, write the main idea of each paragraph next to it so that when you come to this, you know where it belongs. You have a clear memory of where they talked about this. However, sleeping in on weekends can make circadian rhythm changes more drastic. Okay, we have an idea where they talked about the circadian rhythm. This obviously belongs there. Another tip is, if you think it's in 5, but maybe it's in 4, read 4 and continue reading here. Does it fit? If not, then you read 5 and continue reading it. If it does make sense, then that's it. Here, however, a study conducted by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention found that in 2014, 82.8 of middle schools and 92.7 of high school began before 8:30, the 8:30 a.m. recommendation. Where were they talking about recommendations? Okay, that obviously belongs there. So they talked about circadian rhythm in paragraph 2. Extract A is the correct part that completes paragraph 2. Complete sentence with a full stop, please. Extract B, where they talked about the recommendations and when schools start, is the correct part that completes paragraph 5. Full sentence with a full stop. Vocabulary. Use contextual clues. You need to go back to context and see what the word deprivation means. Endorse, delay, insomnia, we talked about that. Circadian, okay, deprivation, we already know that. Endorse, when you promote something, you encourage a delay to put something back. Insomnia, lack of sleep. Circadian, a certain rhythm, biological rhythm in the body, the biological clock. Now, number 1, economic has increased both petty and violent crimes, turning some cities into murder capital. Economic what? What do you think this might be? It's not insomnia, it's not endorse, it's not circadian, obviously. It could be between the deprivation and delay. Let's wait. Number 2, change your life today. Do not gamble on the future. Act now without, obviously, delay. Okay, it belongs here. Delay. I'll show the answers, of course. Many people would rather have a stiff drink to help them sleep than take a sleeping tablet for their insomnia. You take a sleeping tablet. Some people take a sleeping tablet because they cannot go to sleep. Insomnia. Lastly, one may note the role played by the nervous system in controlling behavioral pattern. What do you think that is? Okay, we already chose this. Okay, it's not endorse, obviously. Okay, circadian. Okay, let's move on to check the answers. So, number 1 is deprivation, economic deprivation, delaying, insomnia, lack of sleep, circadian rhythm. Okay, so this is it for vocab. Now we'll move on to the pronoun reference. I displayed the paragraphs for you here to make it easier for us to work together. Based on the selection, what does each of the following pronouns and phrase, there's one phrase, refer to? Which in paragraph 2. Let's take a look at which. Compounding these difficulties is a natural shift that occurs in adolescent circadian rhythms, which, obviously, circadian rhythms, which refers to circadian rhythms. Moving on, okay, modern interests, including homework, extracurricular activities, after school jobs, and school technology use that contribute to their lack of sleep. So obviously, teenage competing interests, all of the following are the ones that contribute, okay? That refers to all of those. Or you can say modern teenagers' competing interests. Paragraph 5, this. The AAP policy statement recommended an appropriate wake time of 8 a.m. for those in the middle and high school. This prompted both, okay, this meaning recommendation. The recommendation of that the appropriate waking time is 8. Paragraph 6, Judith A. Owens, MD, MPH, Director of Sleep Medicine at Boston Children's Hospital, said that teenagers' sleep deprivation affects the rate of accidental injury and suicide, two of the leading causes of mortality in this population. Obviously, okay, we're talking about adolescents, okay? Okay, we're done with this week's worksheet. We'll meet soon and we'll discuss them. Have a great time. Bye.